Well, hello. It's the Edible Valley podcast. We're talking about soup today. Hello, it's William.
And Chef Jonathan, and thank you for waiting for me to get behind the microphone before you started.
You weren't even there, and I just thought, come on, let's keep him on his toes. How are you doing?
Good. I'm feeling that this has to be a quick podcast today.
Oh, really? No, I'm not at all knackered. No, it's gonna be what it is. It's a soup podcast, and it's good to have you along.
Welcome to the Edible Valley podcast.
We want to invite you as we embark on a culinary journey through the heart of Vancouver Island.
From the fertile fields
to the pristine waters of the Pacific Ocean.
We'll explore the stories behind the food that nourishes us.
Tune in to each episode as we deep dive into the flavors, the traditions, and the innovations that make this a true paradise.
Now please join us as we explore our Edible Valley.
So today, it was honestly for me the first kind of cold day of the year. Now you mentioned it as well. Are you sensing a little chill in the air?
It's getting a little chilly because I've just done a couple podcasts as well. We were out at
You've been doing podcasts behind my back?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, because it was hitting up people that you weren't around for. And I invited you, but you were busy.
Because I didn't get invited. No, okay. No, I appreciate that. You're keeping things going.
I'm keeping it going. So I got to talk to Chef Avi, who just did the dinner at 40 knots. And I was calling it 40 knots at 40 knots because it was blowing something crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's actually quite a good joke. You should write that down.
I did write that down. I told many of people, it's not often I get one. So, so I was just thinking about that with the weather and stuff. Maybe we should talk a little bit about soup and warming the soul.
I mean, it is definitely soup season, isn't it? It's not borscht. Not the borscht season.
We could talk about borscht.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, I'm the layman. But no, it is definitely soup season. And it's so easy at this time of year you almost get kind of the back half of August and everyone's excited and everyone's talking about pumpkin spice and all that. And you get through September and it's almost like October hits, and after Thanksgiving we start jumping forward to kind of people thinking about Christmas. And actually there's a fair old chunk of time, and this is the key bit of autumn right now. I think October is the autumn month,
of course,
and we're about to go into November, and it's going to get much colder, and towards the back half of November we will start looking at Christmas. But for now, this is soup season, middle of everything's orange, and it is the autumn.
It is the time. Now, I'm going to do a little plug for Christmas because you brought it up.
Okay.
Because the North Vancouver Island Chefs Association is planning to do a back to basics. So one of our classes...
One minute. What's the abbreviation of them? NIVCA.
NIVCA, as you like to say. So we're going to be doing one of our back to basics at the farmer's market. I believe it's November 22nd. That's a Saturday morning. Okay. We're going to be putting together Christmas dinner.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's going to be sort of showing some of how we can break down a turkey, how we can do some different dishes and different sides to go with your Christmas dinner. So when you're at the market, you kind of start looking around at what's out there. Maybe some chestnuts, some hazelnuts. Let's see if we can find some cranberries and see where we can go from there.
Exactly. At that time, you can start to think there are some things you can think about maybe buying.
We can talk a little bit about soups and why soups matter, right? Let's get real, is because soups are universal, right? Every culture has a version of soup in their traditional food making. Anywhere around the world, right?
All right, I want to shoot some countries at you.
Okay.
Can you tell me what you think their soup culture probably is?
Oh, let's go for it.
All right, I'm going to stretch your knowledge a little bit.
This is just off the top of the cuff here.
Yeah, spinny wheel. Din, 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 din. You'll get your turn. Din, 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 din. Tonga. So it's kind of middle of Africa.
I feel like that's like a nice stew of some sort.
Yeah.
Something very brothy with vegetables.
Yeah. And there's going to be some meat in there.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely like goat, something like that. I'd imagine. Yeah. That'll be really, really good. Yeah.
And some nice vegetables in there.
Yeah. Delicious.
I don't have a name for that soup.
No. It's true though, isn't it? You're looking at the landscape and you're saying this is probably what it's going to be roughly.
Yeah. And that's how most of these things. So that's like you were saying, borscht. right? Which is a very deeply Russian, Ukrainian style dish. And what it is coming up with those vegetables in the root cellar, that are holding up. So like your beets and cabbage and onions and stuff like that. Bring them up and cook them with maybe some potatoes. So in the cold of winter, you have something nice and warm and hearty that's going to fill your soul. And so I think that's why I wanted to talk about soups today, to find those things that warm your soul.
All right, you're just trying to be too profound. You're taking the podcast up, Market. Spin the spinny wheel. Go on, spin the spinny wheel. We'll do one more. Iceland. So you're talking, there's a lot of fish.
Definitely.
Because I've been there. We had the rotting whale meat when we were there.
Right.
But we're talking about think an Icelandic soup would be like. And actually I'm gonna Google this.
I have to do this too. I love how you set me up on stuff that I'm not really prepared for.
Tonga and
ready to
Iceland.
go on,
Are you looking it up? Have you pressed go?
I am trying to, but
no,
I'm not
stop. Right there. Okay. So there's a meat in there that you probably wouldn't expect. You have it a lot at Easter.
Hams.
It's North American though. That is.
Yeah.
It's lamb.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I see where you're coming. Yeah, totally lamb.
So you got a traditional hearty lamb soup made with root vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and turnips, and often includes dried herbs.
You know what? Let's get real. I feel like this is a dish almost every culture has a spin-off.
They do though, don't they?
The protein, right?
Yeah. All right. Can you do one more? All right, go on.
Just because you want me to spin the wheel?
Yeah. Argentina. Yeah.
I really want something with...
Yeah. It would be, wouldn't it, down there? Yeah. Okay, an Argentinian soup. It's not a single dish, but most likely refers to locro. That's more Italian, isn't it? I'll keep on trying. A traditional hearty winter stew made with corn, beans, squash, and various meats. So and stews as well. So you're right. I mean, we've been to 3 of the 4 corners of the world, and they're all very, very.
There's a lot of similarities there. So
I mean, one of them, to be fair, we made up. But let's assume we were right. Fine.
But here, one of the great things, and especially when you're starting out in cooking, and soups are really easy to start learning fundamentals of cooking, right?
Yeah.
Because you get to start from working on your skills with creating beautiful stocks to start as a base to make flavorful, to learning how to season different textures that go along while you're cooking, and then being able to achieve a balance, right? So it's something about having, the right amount of saltiness, the right amount of sweetness, maybe a little bit of spice in there depending on what you're making. So that's where soups are sort of that fundamental one to really work. And so, of course, bringing up a really good stock, like a beef stock or a chicken stock, fish stock, any one of those stocks, or even a veggie stock for say, just to be able to bring out the extra nutrition, the extra flavor, and the clearness of a broth, just to make it that much nicer, right?
Now, are you making a stock as a fresh stock, or are you buying a kind of stock? And if you're buying it, how would you do that? Because I found that even in really high-end places look at Edible Island, for example.
Right.
You couldn't get better than that in terms of grocery stores in the Comox Valley. But I did find with the stock they were carrying was very, very high quality, but you still get these nasty little oils in there.
Well, and you're always going to get a little bit of oil because there's a lot of flavor within those oil.
Nasty oil.
Nasty oil?
It felt like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those ones too, when you bring a broth up too, that's something you can skim off.
Right.
And I mean, that's keeping a lot of that flavor. And a stock is a base, right?
Right.
I find a lot of stocks out there don't have as much gelatin in them as like making your own fresh stock.
Okay.
Or like a lot of people make bone broths and stuff like that as a starter for making soups, right? So I always like to make sure that you have a nice... So when you're building like with bones and stuff like that, having nice bones with a lot of joints in them, right? Because there's a lot of extra gelatin in there. And so when it breaks down, you're going to get extra flavors and extra thickness. Plus, it's going to stick to your tongue a little bit, which that flavor is then going to stick to your tongue a little bit better. So having those are great things. And of course, another thing with a soup, don't boil. Nothing should be ever boiled except for pasta.
I would imagine you did have to boil it.
No.
Oh, sorry, boil the soup, not the stock.
Boil the soup or the stock. You want to bring it up to a simmer, right? Because the more violent you get, the more impurities that you put into your stock, right?
Oh, is that right?
So you just want to have it at a gentle simmer, right?
Okay.
And then skimming impurities off the top. So you remove all those impurities, right?
Yeah.
And so that way you're going to have a clear, beautiful broth or stock that you can work with. Another thing is having really good mirepoix.
Okay.
And this is a great thing for technical, being able to equally cut pieces of vegetable, because then they roast evenly, they cook basically, they release the flavor evenly, and then you can't cook a vegetable, the more it's going to break down. So especially with a mirepoix, if you're doing something like a beef stock or something like that, you want bigger chunks of vegetable because it's going to be simmering for a lot longer time. So because of that, it's not going to, if you use really tiny chunks, they're all going to break down into nothingness and dissolve into your stock and give you cloudiness.
Right. Okay.
So those are some of the things that you're looking at when you're playing around with stocks, is really having nice product to start with, nice clear stocks, and that's just going to transfer as you go away.
Beautiful.
You want to get some types of soups?
Yeah, I want to know about types of soups.
Okay, so we really work with 3 basic types of soups.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Is broth one?
Well, that would be yet close.
Yeah.
Because we can sort of go a little either side of that way, but just go with a clear soup.
A clear soup?
Yes.
Okay.
Which would be like a broth soup or a consommé.
Okay.
Which is basically a stock that's had a raft go through it to pull all the impurities out of it. So basically you put some mirepoix, maybe some more meat that, like if it's a beef, some ground beef in there, and then a bit of egg whites, and you start from cold. And you basically stir it until until it starts to bind together, and then that raft will rise to the top, pulling all those impurities out of there.
Wow.
And it'll give you a nice, beautiful, clear consommé. That's why consommes are like the creme de creme of all chefs when they're doing. If you can do a good consommé, it's also the one that is going to get the least appreciation when you put it in front of a customer, because they're like, it's just broth, right? Like,
yeah, but actually a lot has gone into it.
A lot of work to get it into there.
Yeah.
And that's why having beautiful garnishes, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Next kind of soup.
Is like a creamy one? Is that
Well, that would be fall under what we call as a thick soup.
Oh, okay, thick soup. Okay.
Right? So that kind of balances between whether you're doing a puree, a cream soup, or something like a chowder could even fall under that one.
I was just wondering about chowder.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
So you're thinking about, think about all those really thick soups that you have. Butternut squash bisque.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
You
Mushrooms.
Know, even as a lobster bisque is a great one.
Yeah.
Those are those kind of soups that you're going. Whereas your clear soups, that's going to be more like your chicken noodle soup that everyone knows about. The beef barley, because they've got a nice clearness to it. You can put a bit of the vegetables and some proteins or some starches in there, and that's kind of your garnish, right?
Yep.
To make it look really good. Last one.
I can't even. Okay. Oh, can you give me a hint?
It's specialty soups.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, go on. So is there many specialty soups?
Well, yes, because you know what? Every region has its own style of food.
Yeah.
So we can definitely talk like a lot of classic dishes, things that don't even fall under that clear soup or the thick soup. So those are sort of things we could say like a gazpacho, right?
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a puree, but a cold soup.
Oh, a cold soup, yeah.
You know, even like pho or a ramen. And even, I would even say as much as, which I just said, is a bisque, like a nice bisque, or even a nice clam chowder, right?
Yeah.
Like a thick chowder with potatoes and chunks. So you're sort of combining a clear soup with a little bit of, so if it's a soup that doesn't fall under that traditional sort of thing, we sort of say it's a specialty soup.
I was going to ask, a lot of Asian countries like their soups.
Of course.
I feel that they're very, but not even, like in the West, we tend to say, well, it's soup season at the moment. It's the autumn. This is what we do. But it seems to be very much a part of the Asian culture to have soupy kind of things every day, like noodles with soup and things like that. So would that be considered a specialty, or is this kind of with a Western
I would definitely consider that as more of a specialty soup, because it's a little outside, because it's stealing techniques from both ends.
Right,
and sort of giving you a little bit of option to work with. So when you're thinking about most of your thick soups, like we've all had thick soups, like even like a nice tomato soup can be considered a thick soup, right? A little bit of cream in there, cream of mushroom, all of those sort of things. So if it's clear and brothy, that's going to be more of your clear soup. Nice. And then your specialty soups, even like a French onion soup could be considered a specialty. It's an onion soup, but then when you're putting the bread and cheese to melt on top of it to create that everyone's memorable taste of cheesy onion goodness, right? We can put that under that bowl. So let's get on to and I was saying it's so great that this is be able to develop some of the key skills that you need to make a good soup. So one thing I always like to do is making my soups is I like to actually sweat my vegetables instead of browning them.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So definitely when I'm doing up all
So it's lower
soups,
temperature.
lower temperature,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to get as much caramelization in there because I'm trying to use a nice stock to flavor it. I don't really want to get color into it. You know, if I'm making a chicken soup, right? I want to have nice clear. So doing a nice light sweat on your vegetables will really give those vegetables a nice.
Yeah.
And then it'll take them to that nice al dente point so that when you get the stock and combine it all, it's just perfect for serving.
Nice.
You know, and it's a little bit of one of those ones. I always think a soup should be as good as the first time you make it. Even though there is always that thing that, you know, like soup always tastes better the next day.
And it's true. And curry as well, pizza. There's a lot of them, isn't there? That's the case.
That's a lot of them are like that. But
Yeah.
you should be able to have that good flavor right from the beginning.
Straight away. Now, look, I was making curry last week.
Yes.
And partly because I just thought, you know what, we can chop all the onions out to kill. We can get some yogurt. We can put all the spice in there, put the protein in there, let it marinate overnight. So I did all that. I finally made the curry Saturday night, and I tasted it. I was devastated. It didn't taste of anything for 3 days' work. Now, go forward probably about 4 hours. It had cooled down. We'd fed the kids, and we were getting ready to eat. Delicious, best curry I've ever had.
Really?
What on earth?
And that's all your flavors combining together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what's happening. Though,
Literally, and something like a curry, and especially like this, is like as you're going along, you're building those flavors. So letting those flavors actually develop and come together in there. And then, you know, adding your seasoning throughout. I love, right from the second I throw my vegetables into the pot when I start frying everything, I always throw salt in there as well. You know what? It helps release a lot of the moisture. Yeah. And so they'll actually start cooking a little bit faster too.
And then Eva actually said that salt, she's a great cook. She said that salt actually brings out other flavors.
100%.
You see, I didn't know that.
Salt, just a little bit of salt, adds a little bit of flavor.
Yeah.
It allows your taste buds to be able to pick up some of those flavors a
Really?
little bit more. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Between that one and MSG.
Yeah. All right.
And when I say MSG, right, we've talked about this before. That's not just saying like the powdered MSG, but you know, like you can throw dried mushrooms into something that's going to release some of that. Yeah. You know, another one I've been working with quite a bit right now is like seaweed. Right. It's so incredible just to throw that in there, just to release that flavor. And it's just full of umami, which just intensifies all the other flavors in there. Yeah, I always like to say when you're doing a soup and you're working at home, you know, build your flavors, season the whole way as you go along, as you're adding your ingredients. Always constant tasting, all right? Like that's my biggest thing is when I'm making a soup, once I first put it all together, I'll taste it. Once I've got it up to a good simmer, I'll taste it completely along that. And I'll just keep adding some extra little things and, you know, like building those flavors. So when you get to that point, you know, maybe you need a little bit of fresh herbs at the end of it. Maybe you need just a little bit of acid to release. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't add to their soups, are a little scared to, is actually adding an acid. So I even like when I'm doing a cream soup, I'll add a little bit of lemon juice right at the end. Not a lot to separate or split it, but just enough just to amplify some of those flavors in there.
It's so important, though, isn't it? And now, when you're in a restaurant kitchen and you would expect the chef to be constantly tasting things, is there a protocol for how they do that? Are they allowed to use the same spoon all the time? For stuff like
no.
Or they absolutely, it has to be
It's always
once and then clean it?
Once and clean.
Yeah.
I have used a system where we've done one spoon for your mouth, one for the sauce. And I will do that when I'm tasting a bunch of different things where I'll have a spoon that I'll taste it.
Oh, and then you'll move it on. Fine, but there's no direct contact.
There's no direct contact, It's like sticking your finger in something and,
you'd never do that.
And sticking in your mouth. That is just really, really bad etiquette. And especially when you're doing competitions or something like that, that's a failing mark. So
is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Not something you want to do. So we've talked a little bit about soups. We've got a little bit of into there. Now that we've got our soups made and we're about to serve it, you know, what temperature do you serve a soup? I love this from cooking school.
Well, oh gosh, I would say it's probably cooler than most people would imagine. No, you tell me I'm wrong. Because you see, I just think there's a certain, when stuff's really hot, you're just too worried about your mouth being burnt to actually taste it.
I know, but the proper way, hot soup should be served hot.
Really?
Right? You want to have it nice and piping hot. So when it goes down in front of the person, that's why I have a spoon. Yeah. Stirring it a couple times, you can cool it down.
What temperature are we talking?
What's that? Oh, we're not talking about 100 degrees or something like that, but definitely we want to be above 74 degrees, right? Because that's our danger zone, right? Like we want to keep it, everything has to be above 60 because once you drop below 60 degrees, then that's when you're in the danger zone and that's when bacteria. So if your soup's going out above 60, in the 70 range, nice and hot. That's your prime location. Yet, if you're serving a cold soup, on the other hand, let's try and keep it nice and cold, right? So we want to keep that under that 4-degree mark, right? So that it's nice and fresh.
It's funny because I did go through the food program briefly at North Island College, so we had to do a number of little courses. Typical Canada, and it's the same in the UK. Learn everything in Celsius. Now I've gone out into the real world. Everything's in Fahrenheit. So I've forgotten the Celsius. I know everything in Fahrenheit. And now you're back to Celsius. I'm like, oh my God. And he's thinking 60. I'm thinking that's a hot, very hot summer's day.
You know what? And I've been forcing myself to get into metric. Being in culinary, I've decided that metric is the way to go. That's what I teach. That's where I'm trying to get rid of cups and teaspoons and tablespoons.
Well, don't say that. You know, the cups are such a good, useful system.
I know, but when you're doing recipes and you're converting and stuff like that, it's a lot quicker to convert 100 grams of something.
I mean, you can't argue with that. That's true. It's an interesting topic, actually. But cups is actually a very North American system. Just got into it, actually, the last few years. And it's a very good system. Like, you can use it without any equipment. You know a cup, whereas to get to a certain temperature or to know a certain amount of grams, if you've got an electronic scale, which most people do, then, you need...
And let's get real. Once you get into most commercial kitchens and get to certain spots, they kind of do away with that. And a lot of, like, some of the great chefs are just going with,
it's true.
I've got my coffee cup over there. That's about that much. That's how much I'm going to put in.
And then they know. Well, you have to be a very good chef to do that. And it's honestly, because Eva does that. Again, she's a great cook, but she never does any recipes. She's like, it's amazing. Can you make that again? I don't know, maybe. And then the next week it's crap. Anyway, don't tell her. I don't think she's a listener. She gets enough of me at home, so.
Fair enough. So the last thing I wanted to talk about with soups was talking about garnishing and presentation, because it's really a great palette for doing a lot of really cool, interesting things with. So whether you're doing your clear soups, you're doing a thick soup, or you're doing some of your specialty soups, there's lots of different fresh herbs that you can put on it, doing croutons, drizzling a little bit of oil, right? Like you can put different types of oils on top. A swirl of cream or creme fraiche, or there's lots of little things with that. As well as if you get into the higher levels and we get into consommes, there's a whole bunch of different consomme garnishes, which are classic ones from a Royale to just julienne vegetables in there. So there's a lot of different techniques and a lot of things, but it is a really interesting canvas to be able to put interesting garnishes on it. So
it's an art in its own right.
Yes.
Not to be forgotten. Great. Well, I really enjoyed it. It's only 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say, it's such a great time for soups to warm up, and especially when you've got all this great root vegetables out there, going out to the market, getting some of those things and just bringing them home and making a nice puree soup or a nice cream soup. It's just the season for that, right?
Yeah. We've started to have the storms come through, which is really fun. Guess where I went this morning?
No idea.
Coastal Black.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You're out to the pumpkin patch.
We had a great time.
Oh.
So we thought, you know what? Monday morning, no sod is going to be there. Just go along, have a good 3 school parties.
Really?
Descending on it like locusts. And I mean that in the most affectionate possible way. I have 2 locusts of my own.
Oh, yes.
But no, it was really good, actually. But you just have to dodge the school parties.
Well, and that's the time. It's the time to get out there. And there's so many great pumpkin patches out there and different things. Like I know Fireweeds is doing a really nice little pumpkin thing. And, of course, we did the podcast.
So what's Fireweed doing?
What's that? They got a little pumpkin, it's sort of a harvest pumpkin thing going on in there.
Really?
Yeah, and so they've decorated up everything. I've seen a bunch of the postings. I haven't been able to get by there, but I've driven by a couple times, and it looks pretty neat what they've got going on in there.
All right, we'll have to look that up. That sounds really good because it'll be nice to support. Coastal Black is the one to go to in this area, the main one. There's a few.
Well, you've got like even the Lentilus Farms down on the thing. They've got all their pumpkins out there, and Shamrock was such a...
Shamrock is very widely regarded as right up there with them as well. So, but it's good to support a few of the other ones, and I think they've probably got different angles that make them really fun as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's always something different happening at each farm, and it's fun to support that. And I love the creativity and the energy that they put into doing that.
When did pumpkin patches start? Because this is not a thing in the UK. We go all the way to, we go all the way to Guy Fawkes Night with a little bit of Halloween.
Yeah, well, I think
there's nothing like...
It's just become our Halloween tradition, right?
Is it part of Halloween?
It's just part of Halloween because you need to get a pumpkin every year,
but
right?
It's a month long.
I know.
I kind of like it.
Well, it's spending that time because the harvest is coming available right now. The pumpkins are out in the field and they need to be picked. So that's why the pumpkins are part of Halloween, right?
Do you think pumpkins would really be a thing if they didn't somehow become part of Halloween?
I think it would be a bit more of a struggle. I mean, but there is always pumpkin pie.
They're not that great, though.
I do like a good pumpkin pie. Yeah.
With custard.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. A little custard or even just some nice vanilla ice cream on top of it.
Yeah.
Just keep it nice and simple. I love it. So I think there is. But you know what? There are some better pumpkins for pumpkin pie than the old jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not as sweet. And so, yeah. I think one of those ones that, a lot of this is just for this one little event. And
well, they bring a lot of happiness and joy. And I tell you what, seeing all the kids today, they're all very, very happy and enjoying themselves.
That's true.
Which is lovely. Memories being made. So that's it. We'll be back to you next week on the, I guess, it'll be a fortnight, won't it?
Well,
it might be next week, but it might be into November.
Yeah, but we got a couple other little side podcasts going on. And it's definitely because I've been promoting the whole November 1st. So the day after Halloween, we've got the Team Canada, Culinary Team Canada coming here. The senior team, not the junior team, in which I just put up the podcast. Our last podcast that went out was about with Chef Renaud and Chef Leslie Stav talking about
Chef Renaud, and I love Chef Leslie Slav. Sorry, my mind suddenly went into about 70, but I love them both. They're
wonderful. So we got a good chat about chatting about the team, and they're going to be actually doing some food here at 40 Knots, and then as well as there's another one up in Campbell River at the Naturally Pacific Resort up there, which is the new golf by the side of the golf course there. So
love it.
It's going to be amazing.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you so much for being part of it as we chug along to Christmas 2026, 2025. My brain has suddenly gone really fun. I tell you, I need another Dr. Pepper. Right, thank you very much for listening. I'm William Stringer.
I'm Chef Jonathan.
Thank you. Just Chef Jonathan now. I've dropped the end. Yeah. It's been lovely. Thank you so much to 98.9 Jet FM, the Comox Valley's best rock, for hosting us in their state-of-the-art downtown studios.